In any classic story, you have your hero, the damsel in distress, I'm not trying to be sexist here, that's kind of what they are, the villain, and the comic relief. Since the dawn of time, the comedy sidekick has been there. Disney have certainly not shied away from this, even going so far in their first film to add 7 comedic sidekicks in Snow White. Animation has a wide range of comedy relief characters, ranging from good to bad. And today, I'd like to talk about them, their importance, and what makes a good one from a bad one. In order to help this video, I want to look at certain points that make a good sidekick. The first one being, of course, is they have to be funny. That's kind of a given. Their character must reflect the world they are in, they must have an effect on the plot, the stronger the better, and there must be a unique performance from the performer. The comedic sidekick, despite usually not being the lead character, usually is the one who kinda steals the show. Look no further than Robin Williams' The Genie in Aladdin, probably the greatest example of this. The comedic sidekick is often overlooked, being nothing more than a funny character who is there to keep children entertained. And while that is the most basic description of what that character is meant to do, it's perhaps one of the most difficult characters to pull off. And even if your film doesn't have one, it usually has to make up for it somewhere else by having your main character have another trait. Despite not usually being central to the plot, you could argue a lot of films could remove their comedic characters and they still get the same conclusion in their story. Most of the times they fix this by having their comedic character have information the hero needs and then accompanying them on their journey. In modern times, the comedic sidekick is extremely secondary. Characters like Olaf, Hey, and Valentino aren't really essential to the plot at all, even though Hey is easily one of the funniest non-speaking characters ever. But the best sidekicks actually help their hero and the plot, with characters like Phil from Hercules, Jiminy Cricket from Pinocchio, and Genie from Aladdin all being central to the plot of their heroes. Sometimes a story won't even have a clear-cut comedy character, with films like Atlantis one of the best examples of character creation, as every character serves as its own comedic character. You could argue Mole serves as the standalone comedic role, but he doesn't have any extra time dedicated to him in order to make him stand out. All the characters, including Vinny, Sweet, even Rourke has moments of humor depending on what your style is.
If you gave back every stolen artifact from a museum, you'd be left with an empty building.
He's out of line, but he's right.
This makes for one of the best character developing stories ever put in a Disney film. By not having a clear-cut standout comedic sidekick, it allows the characters to all stand out and have their own moments.
I got you 4 basic food groups: beans, bacon, whiskey, and lard.
Now, I'd be reminiscent if I didn't talk about the greatest comedic performance of a character in Disney history, and that of course being Genie from Aladdin. Not only do we have a one-of-a-kind performance from the late great Robin Williams, but the character is written beautifully into the story. The Genie works in a few ways. Due to him being a magical genie, this allows his comedy to not be limited to the world he is in, so all of his impressions outside of the world only make sense to the audience.
I can't believe it. I'm losing to a rug.
He's like one big wink to the audience. They even have him doing that right at the end by literally winking and speaking to the audience.
Made you look.
The Genie is essential to the plot and to the character development of Aladdin, the Genie being the almighty being to help both Aladdin and its villain Jafar, but the promise Aladdin makes to the Genie to set him free becomes Aladdin's conflict by the third act of the movie. The film starts as Aladdin following the story of finding true love with Jasmine, but by the end it becomes about his promise and friendship with the Genie. So not only is the Genie very funny in an incredible meta way, but it becomes the film's plot, arc, and theme for the entire film. I think it's fair to say that the Genie ticks all the boxes for a perfect comedic sidekick.
Right here, direct from the lamp, right here for your very much wish fulfillment. Thank you.
Whoa. While characters like the Genie are completely fundamental to the plot, sometimes you have characters who are really there to lighten the mood and stop things from going too dark. Look no further than Timon and Pumbaa from The Lion King. While they are important enough to the plot to become a way to make Simba have a life outside of Pride Rock, Timon and Pumbaa use their own can-do attitude of Hakuna Matata as a wonderful theme for Simba's insecurity of not feeling good enough to become king. The main reason Timon and Pumbaa are excellent comedic characters comes down to their motto.
Hakuna Matata!
Sure, they are funny and voiced incredibly well by Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella, but they do something that all good comedy duos should do, which is give the audience something to make them feel good. A comedic sidekick is often the cheerleader of the story, supporting the hero in their journey and keeps the audience uplifted during the darkest of times. Their actual motto is no worries, to live through life carefree, not caring what people think and to try and enjoy life for all it's worth. Hakuna Matata isn't just a catchy song, but it's a wonderful theme of what we all strive to be. It's easy to say we love Timon and Pumbaa because they are funny, but they also give us an emotional theme and a motto for life. With all these reasons, Timon and Pumbaa make for one of the best comic relief characters in Disney history.
Jeez, I'm fried. Let's get out of here and find some shade.
Now, I have talked about some of the best, so naturally we kind of have to talk about some of the worst examples. For the record, I'm not saying that any of these characters are downright bad, but compared to the ones that I've just mentioned, they are certainly a step below. In modern animation, we tend to get the gimmick comedy sidekick. This usually comes from the character having something about them that's usually just the opposite of reality. Two brilliant examples is Valentino from Wish, who is given the ability to talk, as well as Olaf from Frozen, who is of course a snowman who dreams of summer despite that idea being his literal death. Now, the gimmick comedy sidekick can work in a brilliant way. With characters like Doug from Up, he is given the opportunity to speak, making for some of the most funniest dialogue ever.
My name is Doug. I have just met you, and I love you.
But they use the gimmick to actually give him an emotional moment as he stays true to what he actually is, which is a dog. Valentino, despite given the opportunity to speak, just becomes this very weird humanoid goat whose entire personality is to be as odd as possible.
Okay, ladies, big Critic!
It's so dumb.
So dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
Look, there's nothing wrong with having a weird, oddball character. Characters like Ray, Bing Bong, Dory, but they all make sense in their own story. There has to be a reason or a gimmick as to why they are the way they are. All the characters I have just mentioned have a reason for being the stereotypical dumb character. Ray is the classic southern cowpoke, Bing Bong is a literal imaginary being, and Dory has short-term memory loss. But Valentino is just weird for weird's sakes. So while the performance is unique, coming from a very gifted voice actor, the film relies entirely on Alan Tudyk being the funny one without actually writing a decent and funny character. He barely affects the plot, his design and his character makes no sense in the world, it doesn't matter that he's a goat. He could be any animal and his character would stay completely the same. This makes Valentino one of the worst comedy sidekicks out of Disney ever.
It didn't work. When does the magic happen? Huh?
And then we have characters like Olaf, who is the embodiment of modern sidekick. For the record, I actually think Olaf is funny. Frozen gets a lot of understandable bad rep for being massively oversaturating us with this franchise, but despite Olaf being a funny character, he is nothing more than a gimmick. His entire personality is a joke, a snowman who likes warm hugs and dreams of summer, which of course, being a snowman, I don't need to say more, we've all seen the film. He doesn't serve the plot in any way, becoming nothing more than a burden for the other characters to worry about. For the record, I think Josh Gad has a great voice for this role, but the character is written as nothing more than the butt of jokes. Olaf goes back to the classic stories of pantomime and what comedy sidekicks are supposed to be, the comedy relief. And while that purpose is served, and you can't argue that it is very entertaining, I just think we have come a long way since then to creating meaningful characters who aren't just the reason for the kids to keep watching. Olaf unfortunately doesn't affect the story or the plot in a great deal, and while the performance is fun, I can't deny he does actually make you laugh. And he does kind of make sense in the story, given that he's a snowman and he was made by Anna. The simple fact of the matter is, all these things aren't strong enough. While Josh Gad is good, he's not doing anything unique or risk-worthy like Robin Williams or even Eddie Murphy as Mushu. Sure, he makes sense in his world, but only to be a joke for the audience. He is a gimmick in every sense, and I kind of feel sorry for him because, as someone who loves comedy sidekicks, he is simply there to be made fun of. So with all this, Olaf barely makes the criteria of a good comedic character. He is nothing more than a gimmick and a joke.
I'm gonna tell him.
Don't you dare.
I always thought that comedic sidekicks are never taken seriously enough. People tend to think they are someone made purely to make you laugh, a character for the kids, whereas the best ones, they're incredible characters that can truly make you cry and fall in love with them. Considering they're usually the fan favorites due to them being known as the funny ones, being funny from a writing standpoint and a performing standpoint is incredibly difficult, and it's usually overlooked by the more serious roles. The role of the hero is a wonderful one, but the role of the comedy relief is the one that you remember. So thank you for joining me in this video. I had so much fun talking about this and doing this video. It's a little bit different. Let me know in the comment section some of your favorite comedy sidekicks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more great content on all things animation. I see that most of my views are from non-subscribers, so subscribing really helps the channel grow, and it's completely free, guys, so please, I really do appreciate it. Also, if you like this video, chances are you are going to like the one being suggested for you on screen, so click that. That also helps me out in a massive deal. But thank you so much for watching me, guys, and I will see you all in the next one.